For 6 seasons, Rick Dale ruled vintage America. His hands turned rust into gold, relics into legends, and millions of viewers couldn't look away. Gas pumps, classic motorcycles, even NASA helmets. If it was broken, Rick could resurrect it. But then, in less than 3 months, it all collapsed. The show that defined an era vanished. His crew is gone, his family off camera, and behind the scenes. Something far darker than ratings was brewing. What really killed American restoration? Tonight, we uncover the battle between craftsmanship and corporate ambition. A story networks never wanted you to see. Rick Dale, Restoration. King. Before American restoration existed, Rick Dale was just a skilled craftsman running a small shop in Las Vegas. He'd been restoring items since he was 9 years old, when his father pulled a broken bicycle out of a neighborhood dumpster and challenged young Rick to fix it. 3 decades later, that childhood lesson had become a thriving business built on genuine expertise and meticulous craftsmanship. His path to television stardom began through an unexpected connection. In 2009, Pawn Stars premiered on History Channel and ignited a national fascination with vintage items. The show followed Rick Harrison and his family operating a pawn shop in Las Vegas. And whenever they needed expert consultation on antique restoration, they called Rick Dale. His first appearance came in an episode titled Time Machines, and something unexpected happened. Viewers weren't just interested in seeing the items. They wanted to watch the restoration process itself. History Channel executives recognized gold when they saw it. Rick Dale possessed a rare combination that reality television desperately needed. He had genuine expertise developed over decades. He had an authentic personality that didn't feel manufactured for cameras. And he had a family business with built-in characters, his wife Kelly handling operations, his son Tyler learning the trade, his brother Ron working as a picker, his stepson Brettley doing sandblasting, and a grumpy metal polishing expert named Cowboy, who became a fan favorite despite barely tolerating anyone. American Restoration premiered on October 25, 2010, and became an immediate phenomenon. The show chronicled daily activities at Rick's restorations, featuring an incredible variety of projects. Any given episode might show the crew restoring a 1946 Harley-Davidson, a vintage Coca-Cola machine, antique gas pumps, jukeboxes, barber chairs, or equipment from NASA. Rick's shop typically juggled 6 to 12 projects simultaneously, and viewers loved watching the complex technical challenges of bringing 70-year-old machinery back to life. What made the show special wasn't just the restorations, it was the family atmosphere that felt genuine. Rick's relationship with Tyler became a central storyline, with Rick hoping his son would one day take over the business. The banter between crew members seemed real. The challenges they faced appeared authentic. Crossover episodes with other History Channel shows became common, creating an interconnected universe of vintage Americana with Rick Dale sitting at the center of it all. At its peak, American Restoration was appointed television, since celebrity clients provided glamorous episodes. The craftsmanship provided education. The family dynamics provided heart. Everything was working, but success brought attention. And with attention came pressure from network executives who wanted something the show was never supposed to be. When reality TV lies. Here's the secret about reality television that networks desperately want to hide. It's not real. And American Restoration, despite starting as an authentic look at Rick Dale's restoration business, gradually transformed into scripted entertainment masquerading as documentary. The show was produced by Left Field Pictures, the same company behind Pawn Stars, and they brought the same manufactured drama formula to Rick's shop. Conversations with customers were scripted and reshot, until producers got the reactions they wanted. Timelines were distorted to make restoration projects seem longer or more urgent than they actually were. Fans noticed customers being filmed twice, once when discussing the project and again when the finished product was revealed, with different reactions spliced together to create artificial tension. The fake drama escalated with each passing season. Early episodes focused on the restoration process, showing detailed steps of how Rick and his crew brought items back to life. But producers pushed for more interpersonal conflict, more family drama, more contrived situations that had nothing to do with craftsmanship. Viewers started complaining that they were seeing less actual restoration and more staged arguments about things nobody cared about. Now, one incident got caught by eagle-eyed fans and shattered any remaining illusion of authenticity. Rick's brother Ron appeared on Pawn Stars selling a Coca-Cola machine, acting like he didn't know Rick personally. He convinced the Pawn Stars crew to have the machine restored, playing the role of a random customer. But viewers knew Ron worked at Rick's restorations. The entire scene was fabricated, a cross-promotional stunt that treated the audience like fools. Another deception involved a golf ball slot machine restoration. The original machine brought in by the customer was destroyed beyond reasonable repair. So Rick searched for and purchased an identical model from a company in California, had it trucked to Las Vegas, and substituted it for the original. The show presented this replacement as a genuine restoration, deceiving viewers about what actually happened. Sources with knowledge of the production revealed the full extent of producer control. Producers wouldn't let Rick keep doing restorations for his normal clientele. Instead, producers selected which people would appear on the show and negotiated prices for restorations. Then, the show would pay for the restorations directly, meaning Rick never actually received payment for the work viewers watched on television. The trade-off was that Rick and his crew earned more money per episode than they would ever make without the show. But everything viewers saw was decided by producers. Rick had essentially become an actor, performing restoration work at someone else's direction, rather than running his own business. The worst manipulation involved deadlines. The episodes showed the crew under immense pressure to complete restorations in absurdly short time frames. Anyone who actually works in restoration knows that proper work on complex vintage items cannot be rushed without sacrificing quality. But producers needed that ticking clock to keep audiences engaged, even if it meant portraying impossible standards as normal. Characters were introduced specifically for manufactured conflict. New personalities appeared not because they added value to the shop, but because producers wanted friction. The show transitioned from being about craftsmanship to being about fake interpersonal drama that had nothing to do with restoration. By seasons 5 and 6, viewer complaints flooded online forums. One frustrated fan wrote that they didn't care about who bought a dog or who got in trouble at school. And they certainly didn't care about wedding planning on a show supposedly about restoration. Another viewer complained that you'd see an item go from old and rusty to brand new with no explanation of what happened in between, just grown men bickering about nothing. Professional restorers were even more scathing. One specialist wrote that it was awful watching them destroy nice old things, removing every original detail, and repainting with wrong colors and wrong fonts, changing beautiful original components for no reason. The prices they quoted were ridiculous. The craftsmanship that once defined the show was being sacrificed for television drama. Rick Dale found himself trapped. He'd built a successful business over 3 decades. He'd developed genuine expertise that made him respected in his field. And suddenly, he was being told how to run his shop by television producers who cared more about ratings than quality. The passion that made the show special was being suffocated by the demands of manufactured reality television. Something had to break. The breaking point. After 6 seasons of increasing producer control, mounting fake drama, and watching his craft be turned into what he called a saccharine sitcom, Rick Dale reached his limit. When History Channel approached him about Season 7, Rick refused to sign a new contract. He walked away from millions of dollars, and in doing so, he destroyed everything. Sources close to the production revealed Rick's reasoning. He was tired of being treated like an actor rather than a craftsman. He was exhausted from scripted drama that had nothing to do with restoration. That he wanted control over his own business again. He wanted to serve his actual customers rather than whoever producers selected for television value. Rick posted a video online thanking fans for their support and asking them to voice their disappointment on the American Restoration website. The video showed a man barely holding back tears, someone who genuinely loved what he did, but could no longer do it under the network's terms. It was raw. It was real. It was everything the show had stopped being. History Channel's response was swift and brutal. They didn't try to negotiate. They didn't attempt to address Rick's concerns. They simply moved forward without him, planning a complete reboot that would eliminate everything fans loved about the original show. But Rick's departure wasn't just about him. His entire team, from people who'd become fan favorites over 6 seasons, were also gone. Tyler, Ron, Cowboy, Bretley. All of them fired. Rumors swirled about the real reasons for the shakeup. Some claimed Rick had become difficult to work with. Others suggested declining ratings forced the network's hand. The truth was simpler and more damaging. This was a showdown between a craftsman who wanted authenticity and a network that prioritized entertainment value above all else. Neither side would bend. Both sides lost. What makes Rick's stand remarkable is the financial sacrifice involved. Reality television stars on successful shows can earn anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 per episode. With American Restoration running 26 episodes per season, Rick was potentially walking away from over $1 million annually. But he did it anyway. He chose integrity over income. The 2-year gap between Season 6 and Season 7 suggests History Channel initially struggled with how to proceed. They had a successful show built entirely around one man's shop, one man's skills, one man's family. How do you continue when that man refuses to participate? Their solution was more radical and more destructive than anyone could have predicted. The death of Rick Dale's legacy, January 1st, 2016. American Restoration returned for Season 7 with an entirely new concept. Instead of focusing on one shop, one family, one cohesive narrative, History Channel decided to feature 5 separate restoration shops across the country. The new format highlighted Buddy Stroud, Dale Wachsler, Andy Bowman Jr., Steve Hale, and Bob Halliday, each owning their own restoration business scattered across America. Fans were shocked, confused, angry. The show they'd loved for 6 years had been completely gutted and reimagined into something unrecognizable. The reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly negative. The new format focused primarily on vehicles, which fans found particularly frustrating given that History Channel already had counting cars for automotive restoration. The variety that made Rick's show special, restoring everything from soda machines to slot machines to motorcycles to gas pumps, was gone. Now it was just cars, trucks, and motorcycles. Boring, repetitive, indistinguishable from a dozen other shows already cluttering cable television. But the bigger problem was chemistry. Rick Dale and his family had created something genuine over 6 seasons. See, viewers felt like they knew Tyler, Ron, Cowboy, and Bretley. They'd watched Tyler grow up on screen. They'd laughed at Ron's laid-back attitude. They'd appreciated Cowboy's grumpy perfectionism. The new shops had none of that connection, none of that history, none of that family atmosphere that made the original show compelling. Jumping between 5 different shops destroyed any narrative cohesion. Just as viewers started to understand one shop's dynamic, the show would cut to a completely different location with entirely different people working on entirely different projects. There was no continuity, no ongoing storylines, no reason to care about any individual restoration or any specific craftsman. One viewer summed it up perfectly. They were in shock. No connection to the audience. Focused mainly on vehicles across multiple garages. Jump, jump, jump between projects. Someone should have been fired in management for changing everything. The new format also eliminated the educational component that made the original show valuable. Early seasons walked viewers through restoration processes step by step. They explained techniques, they showed problem solving. They educated audiences about vintage Americana. The reboot skipped all of that, showing items before and after with minimal explanation of what actually happened during restoration. Even viewers who tried to give the new format a chance couldn't sustain their interest. Forum discussions revealed people tuning out after 1 or 2 episodes. The ratings told the story History Channel didn't want to hear. Without Rick Dale and his family, American Restoration was just another restoration show in an increasingly crowded market. The magic that drove 6.5 million people to watch at its peak had vanished completely. History Channel tried everything to salvage the disaster. They maintained high production values. They featured interesting projects like George Clinton bringing in a 1920s piano or David Copperfield requesting restorations for his museum collection. They brought in NASCAR connections with Kyle Busch commissioning a trophy. None of it mattered. The soul of the show was gone. By April 1st, 2016, just 3 months after the Season 7 premiere, American Restoration was canceled. The show that once dominated History Channel's lineup, that spawned international viewership and celebrity appearances, that made Rick Dale a household name, was dead. Killed by a network that thought they could replicate success by removing the very elements that created it. A source close to the production called it mutual destruction through brinkmanship. Rick Dale refused to compromise his integrity. History Channel refused to give up creative control. The result was they destroyed something valuable that millions of people loved. Both sides lost. But viewers lost, most of all. Where are they now? Rick Dale pivoted to something completely different after the show ended. Rather than continuing to operate a business that had been fundamentally changed by television exposure, he opened a laser cut and embroidery business called My Best Font Forward Creations in Las Vegas, primarily run by his wife Kelly. The business focuses on Christmas decorations, laser-cut decor, and custom embroidery. A complete departure from the restoration work that made him famous. He also turned to writing, publishing a book called Classic Soda Machines that has earned solid reviews. Rick seems to be enjoying a quieter life these days, still consulting about vintage items and dabbling as a metal artist, but on a much smaller scale than the full-size restoration jobs he used to tackle. His social media presence reflects this transition. He used to be active online, but he hasn't posted on most platforms in years. Kelly Dale found success as a licensed realtor, leveraging the recognition from American Restoration into a different career path entirely. Tyler Dale, who was being groomed to take over the restoration business, evolved his skills in woodworking, welding, and metalwork. He got married in 2022 and works as a fabricator. But there's barely anything about restoration or the family business that once defined his identity. Brettley Otterman, Rick's stepson, actually found the most success after the show ended. He leaned into his sandblasting skills and started his own company called Clean Works Mobile Media Blasting. The business now has 3 blasting rigs and appears to be thriving, successfully transitioning from television exposure to independent operation. Ron Dale chose to live quietly, building custom bicycles, staying almost entirely out of the public eye. Cowboy similarly disappeared from public view after the show ended. There have been rumors over the years that Rick's restorations would make a comeback. Rick posted videos of himself restoring items with captions suggesting he was back. And he launched a website offering training and private access for members. But the actual restoration shop, the physical location where history was brought back to life for 6 glorious seasons, remains closed. The cameras have stopped rolling, the lights have dimmed. The shop that once drew millions into a world of rusted relics and forgotten treasures now stands quiet. Its doors closed, its stories paused, but not forgotten. Rick Dale walked away from fame, from millions, from a world eager to watch him transform history itself. Because some things are worth more than ratings. The tools remain, the knowledge remains, the legacy remains. And somewhere in Las Vegas, he continues to breathe life into the forgotten, unseen, uncelebrated, but real. The network tried to replace him. The show tried to survive without its heart. But authenticity cannot be manufactured, and craftsmanship cannot be scripted. When spectacle replaces substance, when drama replaces devotion, what becomes of the story? And what becomes of the people who truly built it? The shop may be silent, the camera's gone, but the question lingers. When the guardians of history vanish from the stage, who will tell the story? And who will decide what is remembered? And what is lost forever?